Welcome, everyone. My name is Israel Roman.
Everything I ever done, everything I ever seen, everything I ever built.
Welcome to our free webinar on the new Caregiver to Canada. For those people who are watching us in this free webinar via Zoom, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to add them on the chat box. For those people who are joining us via our Facebook live stream, please, if you have any questions, type them down on the comment section. I will be able to go ahead and take a look at them and answer them. Also, if you can, if you're watching on our Facebook live page, if you can go ahead and like us and share this free webinar or live stream to your friends and families or groups, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
I don't see him here today, and the things we do believe only hold deep in the water, in the
All right. So again, welcome everyone. My name is Israel Roman, and I am your licensed Canadian immigration consultant and at the same time a registered nurse here in Canada. And yes, I am practicing both as a licensed Canadian immigration consultant and as a nurse. And our offices are located, we have our office here in Canada, which is in Nanaimo, BC, and our Philippine office would be in Lipa City, Batangas. So, we are here to talk about Home Child Care Provider Pilot and the Home Support Worker Pilot Program. So, what's new about this program? This program started just last year, June of last year, so that's 2019. So, when you as a caregiver, apply to come to Canada, you are essentially applying for an open work permit. Okay. And this open work permit is only occupation restricted and not employer restricted. Meaning to say, if you need to change employer at any time during your employment, you are able to do so without applying for a new work permit. Okay. As long as you will be, as long as a new employment would still be the same, either a nanny or a caregiver. So it is only occupation restricted. You need to be, the new job would need to be either nanny or caregiver still, but you can change employer without applying for a new work permit, which is this is good. That means there's no lag time between your work permits. And this open work permit or this pilot program doesn't need an LMIA or labor market impact assessment. So this would be good for employers, directly good for the employers because now this is one big giant step. This is one step eliminated in the process of hiring a foreign worker. And this would be a very helpful for them and indirectly helpful for you because that means there will be more Canadian employers willing to hire foreign workers or foreign caregivers like you. And the other new thing about this program is that when you apply as a caregiver, you're not just applying for an open work permit, you are also applying for your permanent residency. Okay. And so essentially, once you are approved to come to Canada as a caregiver, you are approved for an open work permit and essentially for your permanent residency. The only thing you need to do is after working for 2 years, we will be submitting some documents to prove such. Okay. Now, there are questions around, can I apply for just an open work permit? And I will apply for my permanent residency application later on. The answer to that one is unfortunately no. You will have to apply for both your open work permit and permanent residency application at the same time. Now, am I eligible? I think I am a caregiver. I am a caregiver. I've been doing caregiver. Am I eligible to come to for this program? Okay. First is you need to have a genuine and valid job offer. Okay. So your employer needs to provide you a offer letter saying that you are being hired as a caregiver and will be working full time. And when we say full time, it would be at least 30 hours per week. Next is the officer will need to determine, are you able to do the job? Okay. So in order for the officer to determine this one is that you will have to provide your caregiver certificate. Yeah, do you have experience as a caregiver or training or something equivalent? And it has to be recent. Okay. So an example would be if you are if you had your caregiver course 10 years ago, but you've been practicing uh, or you've been working as a caregiver and just stopped a year ago, that is still equivalent. That is still a check mark on this eligibility. Able to do the job, you are still able to do the job. Now, in terms of equivalent, so if you graduate as a nurse, let's say 4 years ago, and haven't been nursing though, that is still good. You have this one would still be a check mark for able to do the job. We can still use your nursing education that you've had 4 years ago. Okay, meet the language level. Okay, so you saw in the previous slide that you are applying for two application essentially, open work permit and permanent residency application. The first eligibility of genuine valid job offer and able to do the job is basically is for your open work permit. When it comes for the meet the language level, this is for your permanent residency. Okay, and for the language level, you need to have at least CLB 5. So not that high, right? This is very attainable. So reading would be 4.0, listening, writing, speaking 5.0. I did say it's not that high and attainable for sure, but maybe some of you are having some challenges in terms of getting the score that you need for your IELTS. For some reason, as soon as you step into that exam center for your IELTS, you have that anxiety, right? And because of that one, you're not able to perform the way you would like to perform in taking that IELTS exam. So don't you worry, we have a solution for that one. We will be able to help you with that one. But Later on, you'll hear more about that one. There's a question. I am a practicing nurse, but I have a caregiver certificate too. Can I apply? Definitely, you can. Meet the education requirement. So this one right here would also be a requirement for your permanent residency application. Application. And when we say education, it would be 1 year post-secondary course or 1 year in college. Okay, so this can be tricky if you are from the Philippines and they and at that time when you finished high school, there is no grade 12 yet. Because what will happen is, let's say you have a 2 year associate degree. Once your credential has been evaluated, your first year is then considered grade 11, and then your second year is considered grade 12. Meaning to say, even though you finish 2 years of associate degree, those 2 years is only equivalent to high school. Now you're still missing 1 year of post-secondary. That is why it is better and safer if you have at least 3 years in college. Okay, and admissible to Canada, and that means no criminal offense, no history of misrepresentation, in relatively in good health. Spouse. Okay. So since this is an open work permit and a permanent residency application, and this is one of the new thing about the program is that you will be bringing your spouse and your children with you. Okay. So on your application, on your open work permit application and permanent residency application, your spouse and your dependent children are included. So once you get approved, your spouse will also have an open work permit. The only difference with his open work permit and yours is that for him, it's not occupation restricted and not employer restricted. So it's a usual open work permit wherein he can work anywhere he wants to for any employer as long as he's qualified. And as I've said, can work in any employer and occupation. For your dependent child, it would be a study permit with free education up to grade 12. So in Canada we have here free education, but the education would still be the highest quality standards for sure. Hi sir, I'm working abroad. Can I apply? Definitely, you can apply. Anyone can apply to this. I mean, like not anyone, but no, it doesn't matter where you are at the moment. You can apply for this one as long as you meet the minimum requirements. You can apply. So if you're not in the Philippines or you are in other countries, definitely. Employer. Okay. And I just want to make sure that it is clear with everyone. We are not a recruitment agency. Roman and Associates Immigration Services Limited is a Canadian immigration firm. Even though we have office in the Philippines, we are not a recruitment agency. Therefore, we don't need to be licensed with POEA. Yes, we are not licensed with POEA, and that is again because we are not a recruitment agency. So there's no requirement for us to conduct or there's no requirement for us to be licensed with POEA to conduct our business in the Philippines. Of course, we would need those when you run a business, your business permit, mayor's permit, and all of those things. So we have that one all covered. So, since we are not a recruitment agency when it comes to the employer, this is your responsibility. Okay? But, but, even though it is your responsibility, we are here to help you land that employer. And I will show you on how we are able to help you land an employer. Okay? So stay tuned. Do not leave. Do not do not feel down about this one, that this is your responsibility, because we've helped lots of caregiver land their employer. Okay? So employer could be your relative, okay, as long as your relative meets the requirement, which is and able to provide job for you, are financially good in terms of able to provide your salary, and there is a, let's say, children to look after if they are hiring you as a nanny, or an elderly individual if they're hiring you as a caregiver. Okay, so employer, your employer relative being your employer, or your, I mean, yeah, is not a reason for visa refusal. Okay, there's no such thing. So what is then the advantages in joining with us? Right, so this is good. These are the good things and why you should join us. So by hiring a immigration consultant, there is of course a professional fee. Okay, with all the services that the consultant will do, there's a fee for that one. Now, with this one, by joining us in this webinar, that is 50% off on the professional's consultant's fee. And the consultant's fee can also be negotiated so that it is paid by the employer. Yes, we can negotiate this one. And we have employers who have paid all of the expense of the caregiver, right? So there are employers like that here, and you might be the next one. Normally, when you see the consultant's fee, that is only for you as the principal applicant. If you have a spouse or relative or children dependent, there will be additional fee for that one, because that would be more work, more paperwork. But by joining this webinar, this free webinar and live stream, we are waiving that one. So there's no additional retainer fee or professional fee for your spouse and dependent children. Okay. Now, free unlimited IELTS review is included. This will help you get to the exam room for your exam room and have that confidence. Okay. So, our IELTS review would be able to help you get the score that you need, not just the minimum, but even higher than the minimum. Okay. And this is free unlimited, and unlimited. Also, by joining us, part of the perks would be free IELTS exam. So we'll take care of your IELTS exam. And the most important thing in joining us, the advantage in joining us, is we will be representing you to our Canadian employers. Yes. So, and we have the ability to do that since we have office here in Canada. We have a Canadian presence. Okay. Also, we will be promoting your profile on our websites that are targeted to the that are targeting Canadian employers. Okay, as well as our social media posting targeted to our Canadian employers and networking. And when they say networking, is if you can remember, I did say that I am practicing, or yes, I am practicing both licensed Canadian immigration consultant and a registered nurse. So in my work as an RN, I'm able to come across patients, families of patient that would approach me and ask me for, hey, do you have any caregiver available? Okay, so there's a good net. I have a good network when it comes to families, patients needing caregiver or needing nannies. Okay, so let's say before they get discharged, they will be needing a caregiver, or while after being discharged, while at home, they would be willing to hire a foreign caregiver. So I have that good networking when it comes to that one. And that's how will be able to help you land an employer. Okay. So that is a great advantage because, again, we are here. We are able to talk directly to the Canadian employers, and that's our biggest advantage versus an agency who only has a local office outside of Canada. They don't have that direct contact to the Canadian employers. Okay, and unlike us, and I'll show you more later on down the slides on how else are we able to help you land that employer. So when someone, when an individual gives you advice on how to come to Canada and or helps you with your work permit application, visa application, any visa application for Canada, if they are not your relative, they are they need to be licensed with the Immigration Consultant of Canada Regulatory Council in order to legally do it. Okay, you cannot an individual cannot just give advice. They need to have a license. They need to be registered. They need to have the education, and they need to have passed the board exam for that one. And in order to check that, you can go to the website of the ICCRC. And I'll show you how. Okay, so this is their website, ICCRC. If you are wanting to file a complaint, this is where you go to complaint against that person giving you advice. But if they are not licensed with ICCRC, then they won't be able to help you because that won't be that person is not a member of their college, right? Or council. So on the left hand side, click learn more, and then down below you can go ahead and search for that person if that person is licensed with the ICCRC. So for this one, let's type in my name, Roman. First name is Israel, and hit search. And this is what comes up for Israel Roman. Okay, so name, status is active, and that is the immigration license number. And when you hit contact, it would show you where that consultant is based out of from. So for me, I'm based in Nanaimo, BC, Canada, and company is Roman and Associates Immigration Services Limited. Okay, so now This is one, again, this is one way of determining if the person that giving you advice is legally able to do so. Okay. Next is check the company that the consultant is working with or for. Okay. Because you want to make sure that the company really exists. So if the company is in Canada, you can go to Canada Business Registry. Okay. And find businesses within Canada. So British Columbia, type in the name Roman. All right, so there you go. So Roman Associates Immigration Services Limited, and this is an active company here in BC. So now you have confirmed that I am I have an active license, and at the same time the company I work for is active. And now Canadian presence. Finding an employer. So Canadian presence. So I did say that I am here in Nanaimo. Let's go ahead and confirm that one as well. Which this you can also do to kind of confirm, or you want to see if there's any red flag for the person that is giving you advice on how to come to Canada. You can check Google, see if there's any red flag for that person or anything that kind of like you think that this is not a real thing, right? Something is fishy kind of thing. So in Google, or you can do it in Yahoo or any web browser, I mean like any search engine, type in the name. So for this one, it's Israel Roman Nanaimo, because I did say I'm from Nanaimo. And let's see if there's any, what does Google have to say. So on the right hand side, it does say Roman Associates Immigration Services Limited, and that is because I am connected with that company. And this is from Google, and it says here Nanaimo, BC, the address, and it's closed. Opens at 8 a.m. And yes, we are closed because it's only 6:27 a.m. here in BC. And then on the left hand side, let's go find something, anything that would warn me or red flag. Okay, so I don't see anything, which is good, right? Now let's click on the picture, see who this Israel Roman is in Nanaimo. Let's open my camera so that you guys can see, so that you guys can compare, right? Okay, alrighty. So there you go. So this one right here is Nanaimo Hospital Auxiliary Donation tops 300,000, and this is from Nanaimo News Bulletin. So you can see, you can go ahead and take a look that the person that is talking right now is the same as the picture on the website, wherein it says that that person is in Nanaimo. I am in Nanaimo. Another picture, this one is from BC local news. So Nanaimo Hospital gets 340,000 BC local news, and there is there's myself right there holding that one big giant check. Perfect. Okay. Maybe let's go click one more. All right. So this one's me still. And this is from again from the Nanaimo Hospital Foundation. This is the time when I was touring one of our visitors in the hospital. Okay, so now you have ways to determine if there's any red flag for the person that's giving you advice. Okay, especially nowadays, there's a lot of scam happening. So finding an employer. So Canadian presence. I am here in Canada. I can directly talk to the Canadian employers for you. Also, we have our recruitment agency, okay, which is Home is Best Caregiver. This is not licensed with POEA or Philippines because this is not based in the Philippines. This is actually based here in Canada where the employers are. So Home is Best Caregiver is really directed for Canadian employers looking for caregivers. So they come to our office, to Home is Best Caregiver office, and ask for, hey, I have a mom that has dementia and I can't leave my mom alone at home. I need a caregiver. Or, hey, I have, there's no spot in our daycare. I need a nanny to look after my children. Okay. So, again, Home is Best Caregiver is our recruitment agency here in Canada that helps Canadian employer land their caregiver or get their ideal caregiver or nanny. So this is very helpful for you in terms of finding an employer because we are not just an immigration consultancy firm. We also have a company that is for Canadian employers looking for caregivers like you. Okay. The other thing that we have here is Nannies on the Block. So Nannies on the Block is another platform that connects Canadian employers and caregivers or nannies. Okay. So this is another way for us to be able to help you get the employer that you want. Okay. Get the ideal employer. So is it worth it to come to Canada and work as a caregiver or nanny? Okay. So what is the wage as a caregiver or nanny? The median wage or the average wage of a caregiver in Canada is $16.50. So home support worker or caregiver is they are the one looking after the elderly clients. Okay. So the median wage is $16.50. For a nanny, the average wage in Canada is $14.11 and it can go as high as $20. Okay, let's do some wage sample computation. Okay, so how much is this really? So let's say you will be earning $14.11 and will be working 40 hours per week. That would give you $564 per week. In a month, that would be 2,256. And for a year, that would translate to $27,000. Okay. All right. It sounds small. 27,000 only. Okay. So let's go ahead and convert that one to Philippine peso. For those people joining us, that they are joining us, but not other than Filipino, you can go ahead and convert. Yeah, I can't convert to all of the currency in the world, but yeah, you can always go to Google and search currency conversion. So just convert 27,000 Canadian dollars to your home currency to determine how much that one is. For Philippines, that would be almost 1 million pesos, 947,520 to be exact, for working as a nanny for $14.11 an hour. Okay, so I think this is great, right? I don't think you'll be able to earn almost 1 million pesos working as a nanny in the Philippines, right? So I don't even know, I don't even think nurses are able to earn such in a year, right? I could be wrong, but yeah. But of course, there's an investment on this one, right? It's not always free for everything. And earning almost 1 million pesos, what is my investment on this one? And I say investment, and this is an investment on yourself, and which is good because the return of investment you have control over. Okay, why? Because you'll be the one dictating how many hours you want to work, so that you'll get the income that you need, right? So the return of investment is, you got control over that one, right? Unlike other businesses out there, let's say for entrepreneurship or online business, so no offense to them, that is a great business. It's a legit business. It's a very clean business. That's good. But I'm just comparing it, okay? So for online businesses, you still have to invest money on that one, right? So there's like package one, two, three. Of course, the highest package would have more products, but of course, it would mean more money. So you invest on that one, but the return of investment relies on other people. Okay, you got no control over that one, because no matter how great your marketing strategy is, you need to be able to get the customer that would want your product. And hopefully it would be a routine basis wherein every month, every week, your client will come back to you to purchase the same product, right? And how much is the profit per product as well, right? So the return of investment on that one might take a while, right? Compared to this one. So what is your investment on this then? Okay, so once we have determined that you're eligible for this program, there is the administration fee of 48,000. Once you have paid the 48,000, then we will go ahead and coordinate your I unlimited IELTS review, then later on your IELTS exam. Okay, and again, your IELTS review, unlimited IELTS reviews for free, and your IELTS exam will take care of that one as well. Then once you are part of our caregiver pool, we will also be working with you for your ECA. Okay, and then when you submit your application, these are the fee for that we have to pay the immigration office. So your application 255, that would be for your open work permit, and then your permanent residency application fee, your medical exam, and your biometrics. Okay, the medical exam is 10,000 pesos. That is an approximation. I'm not exactly sure how much it is right now, an accurate number, but it's could be more than 10. Okay, and then the last step would be your right for permanent residency. This is only me. You can go ahead and pay this one later on. Once you have completed your 2 years of employment, we submit your proof of employment plus this money right here, or this fee, 490. Okay, and this one right here, The fee submitted to the immigration is only for you, okay, as a principal applicant. If you have a spouse or dependent children, then they have their own fee as well, okay? They're separate. So your spouse processing fee 550, right for permanent residency application again you can wait until later on like after 2 years before paying this one for 90, and then you have your biometrics and medical exam. And then down below the slide says retainer fee, and it says they're 50% off. And again, this can be negotiated with the employer so that it is the employer that will shoulder this. Okay. Okay. So, what is the timeline? What are the steps really? Okay. First one is eligibility check. So, for this one, we are not requiring any money on this. Okay. We want to make sure first that you're eligible for this program before we take you on. We don't want to waste your time and money. All right. So we have to do our due diligence and make sure that you meet the minimum requirement. So that is the eligibility check. Once we have determined that you have met the minimum requirement, then we start your application. This is the stage we're in. You'll pay your administration fee of 48,000. And if you're not in the Philippines, it would be 1,400 Canadian dollars. Okay? Then we will go ahead and co- coordinate with you your IELTS review. Once we have started your application, then work with you for your ECA or your evaluation, credential assessment. Then we prepare your documents. This would be your supporting documents and application forms. If you have spouse and dependents, their application forms as well. Then we submit to submission for IRCC or submission to IRCC. Last step, of course, is fly to Canada. Again, if you have a spouse or dependent children, they will be accompanying you when you fly to Canada. So they will be with you as well. No more waiting for 2 to 3 years before you can have your spouse and children here in Canada. Be with you here in Canada. Okay. So this is a good thing. Right. So what is the next steps? And this is only if you want, if you think you meet the minimum requirements and you want to be a caregiver, and at the same time you want to avail our promo or our perks, which are the free unlimited IELTS review and your IELTS exam, right? And the biggest perk would be part of our caregiver pool wherein we are able to represent you to our Canadian employers. Okay. So if you'd like that one, if that sounds great for you guys, then please submit your resume to assessment at romancanadianimmigration.ca for the eligibility check with the subject line Caregiver Pathway Webinar September 18, 2020. This is important because we want to make sure that we are able to triage your email, work on your email, right? Because we receive hundreds of email and it's hard to it's hard to read all of the emails quickly, right? So we want to triage it so that your email doesn't get buried, all right? And we also want to make sure that this person is applying and is part of the webinar, therefore would be qualified for the perks or the promo. that I mentioned earlier. And again, once we have determined you are eligible, then we proceed to the next step, which is your registration or start of your application. Okay, so that concludes our free webinar or live stream. I'm hoping you guys learned a lot. If you think that this is something that your friends, your family would benefit from, please do not hesitate to share this with them. For those people who joined us in our on our recorded version, thank you as well. Thank you so much. I'll be here for a few more minutes to answer your questions. Question via Zoom: how much do I need for this application? So, for the eligibility check, there's none. Okay. For the next step, once we have determined you're eligible, then the next step would be the registration. There is the administration fee of 48,000 pesos. That includes your free unlimited IELTS review, your IELTS exam, and being part of our caregiver pool wherein we represent to our Canadian employers, right? Because we cannot, I mean, like, we have Canadian employers looking for caregivers. We cannot just say, okay, go ahead and hire this person from the Philippines because we don't know you and we are not part of our caregiver pool, right? So we have our own caregiver pool, and when an employer comes to our office in our for our home is best caregiver services recruitment agency office, if an employer comes there and asks for a caregiver, then we pull from our caregiver pool. Okay. For nanny, is there any age limit requirement? There is no age requirement. The only requirement is you have a valid job offer, you're able to do the job, you meet the language ability score, which is CLB 5, you have your education, 1 year post secondary, and admissible to Canada, meaning no criminal offense, no misrepresentation, and relatively in good health. I was a former caregiver in Japan for almost 4 years. Already took the IELTS when I was there, and I got five, above five. Will that be honored? So your work, I mean, like you've been a caregiver for almost 4 years, so that's good. Able to do the job. Took the IELTS. I'm hoping this one was within the last 2 years. Then that would be a check mark as well for your ability. Someone raised their hand in Zoom. Go ahead and ask your question, please. Type in your question. Another question on: is there any age limit? And if you didn't hear my answer on the last one, no, there is no age limit for nannies or caregivers. Do you have visa refusals? Definitely, there are visa refusals, and that's why we make sure that before we take our caregivers, we try to determine as much as possible the risk of having a visa refusal, right? So if we know that this person will have his or her visa refused, then we won't be taking that person as part of our caregiver pool. Okay, because that would just be wasting their time and the employer's time as well. You're welcome, Lodi. Hopefully, I pronounced your name right. Thank you, Gerald. Let's see if there's any other questions. For Leah and Anne, thank you for being interested in joining. Please submit your resume to if you think you meet the minimum requirements and would like to avail the promo. Please submit your resume to assessment@romancanadianimmigration.ca. We will do our first step, which is the eligibility check. Once we have determined that you're eligible, we'll let you know. We'll email you back on that one. Okay. Again, thank you everyone. Thank you who have joined us in our via Zoom, via Facebook Live. I'm hoping you guys learned a lot from this one. And again, if you know someone that would benefit from this one, please do not hesitate to share the recording. And want to remind you guys as well that we have future events, webinar events. So please check our Facebook page. And on the event section, you'll see all of the upcoming free webinars. Till next time, have a good night, everyone. Stay safe.